Just some of the organization. You got the it's just that you've got like a nice one. I always like any work done. I always appreciate. But two, here, I'll share it real quick. I'll share my screen. Oops, not that one. Some of the organization on, like you've got questions, follow-ups, and you've got places for updates on all the different components. It's good. Good.
I don't know that that's mine.
Let me see.
Oh, that's the meeting. That's the meeting notes.
Yeah, that's you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I did. I thought you were talking about the board, but yes, that's the meeting notes for TL Bank.
No,
Yep.
it's good. It's good. It's good.
Okay.
Just remind everybody, Arbitrum has an airdrop. They're being absolutely hammered right now, though. We'll get started here in just a second. That's great. It's consumable by. Okay. So you might scare Mantis Clone with with the TL Bank smart contracts. He might be like, "Uh-oh." I think that so he just needs to wire up the smart contracts. Hedgie is going to be generating the smart contracts. So he'll probably ask you about that, just FYI.
Is there a way that you could word it better so that it wouldn't scare him?
Yeah, so it's if you said something like build front end or interface for smart contracts.
Okay.
And he'll go, got it.
Okay. Good to know.
And I think he'll go, do you have a design? Like his next question is going to be, do you have a design? And what you can do is tag Israel.
Okay.
And then Israel will go, in fact, I do. Here you go. Or no, not yet. And then Mantis is going to go, okay, as soon as you got it, let me know. So.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I've done this so many times with devs. Like I know how like these stages are going to go.
It'd be cool if Bounty Board had like a template for that. Speaking of templates, but
yeah, right. I think things to build. We got the roadmap on Bounty Board is kind of solid right now. We onboarded some people onto it. Where it's getting adopted at Explain Like I'm 5 DAO. They're big fans of it, so I was like, that's nice. I've heard enough people frustrated with D work, and people are like, "Can we try out Bounty Board or do something with them?" Like, and that's kind of the beauty of Bounty Board is it's open source. So if anybody wants to build on it or add modules or do anything, it's a real big knock yourself out.
Yeah, that's that's what we're gonna use for the onboarding. Also, we're definitely gonna use Bounty Board for that.
I think that's great. Really good, actually. You've got all the tasks fleshed out here. Great. Okay, cool. Well, let's get started. So Bank Utility is fully focused on TL Bank right now. And I think that our big updates are to talk TL Bank needs and items, and then get in actually talk about season pass. And I hope that we can do both today. Is there anything else anybody wants to touch base on or speak about? Okay, silence is golden. Sprinkles, you've been jamming. You want to give the high level update on TL Bank?
So the update is that we spoke with Hedgie the other day, and they are working with the like infrastructure, say, out with Collabland.
Yep,
We have
right.
a couple, things to decide, but they're more long term. So I think we're all set really with what we need to do for them. The only thing that I think we need right now, everything is kind of like dependent on a person. But I'd like to up the marketing, and I'm not sure that the right way that we want to do that. And then we also need the governance portion to be moved forward to be able to put up. I don't know if it's just going to be if the BDIP for the season passes and TL Bank are going to be together.
Yeah, right. It's because it's going to be at least a 2-week process for the BDIP with the TL Bank. Okay. So we're aiming at May 4th, so we've got some time. But not a lot of time. We got a little bit of time. Roughly a month and a week. 2 weeks. Month and 2 weeks. 6 weeks. Great. So let me just add a few things here for tracking. I think the BDIP. So one, we should get the temp check on the season pass out pronto and get awareness on that. And then what I want to try is for a BDIP, like one BDIP rather than going through 4 or something. And I'm going to be an absolute pain in the ass to every guild and group around this BDIP once we get it up. Like I'm going to be like up in people's DMs. I'm going to be dancing, singing on community call. I'm going to be telling jokes about it. So there's going to be announcements. Like I don't want this to languish. So this is going to be ice cool, full press, razzle dazzle. I think. Let's get the season pass. Ideally out like season pass. Temp check out. Because I think so. Steps is season pass, prep people for that awareness, and then the BDIP, and try and do both. Like recognize the season pass and TL Bank. And I think we could just do that because the next step is to remove L1, like redesign the levels, and I think that might generate discussion. So at least we could skin this cat. That's not nice. And we could do this a number of ways. Like we could just do a BDIP for recognizing TL Bank. Like we could do slow path, medium path, or fast path. And slow path is, a BDIP for every incremental change, which I'm like, fast pass is we just like we throw up a B dip with and we try and redesign the levels, depreciate 35K bank across the board, um, and in medium path is like two B dips. One where we recognize season pass and TL bank, and then a second B dip where we depreciate um, everything. I think the medium path is best, like talking out loud about it, because um, my DevOps kind of orientation and like just making technology changes are this is significant. And we probably want a period of time where there's like, you know, awareness, mistakes are allowed, because what's going to happen is like, I think a big acknowledgement to this is that this is it's a not major, but at least significant infrastructure change. And so the DAO's access levels are going to dramatically like be modified. So, you know, like there will be a period where people are like, I've got 35K bank. Why'd I lose access? And there's going to be just lots of questions, lots of like, hey, what happened? Da 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 da. And we'll need marketing. We'll need Twitter. We'll need people manning the front gates at first quests. Like we're gonna just have a lot of layers of questions and hey, what happened and what's going on, and the better we can front run all of that. So I think what we should do is first is to have two B dips actually, and one is to recognize, and then two to remove access, like to redesign the levels. And this will allow, because like the season pass won't be needed or functional until we remove like TL Bank. I think people will start adopting as soon as we roll that out. But the season pass, people are going to be like, until we remove the 35K hold option, people aren't going to use it.
Well, would it be possible?
Thoughts, discussion, debate.
Would it make sense to run both programs concurrently through season 8 so that folks could voluntarily opt for those passes? Um, and then we'd at least have, the people that volunteer to do it essentially are the ones that iron out all the bugs. And then after
That's a
essentially,
great idea, Ernest.
yeah, and then in the middle of the season, we would essentially come around and say, okay, we've been tested it, we've worked out the links, now we're going to suggest like deprecating, essentially realigning the permissions with the NFT passes instead of holding the 35,000 bank requirement.
I think that's a great idea I think that's like we want inclusivity. We want to be inclusive. We want to be kind. We want to be gentle with this change, so allow for as many mistakes and people to catch up and be involved as possible. So that's a great idea. I think this is the like season initiating and kicking off, like closing the gates around season pass is something that we want to just be probably slow around. TL Bank we can race to the end line and like, hey, celebrate a new primitive. But season pass is essentially, it's like we're putting up some walls. Yeah, I really like that.
Just wanted to get clarity on some things. Is the season pass supposed to like let's say substitute or replace the idea of holding 35K banks, or was that something that was supposed to replace the guest pass?
The
Well,
35K bank.
yeah, and what's actually going to happen, right, is that other than the people that voluntarily start with the pass or the TL bank, they're going to go and utilize the guest pass process their first season, right? So, before most people buy the pass or the TL bank, they get to use the guest pass again for like a whole season, and then it's like, hey, if you're not ready to get the pass or the TL bank at this time, Like you can't renew your guest pass more than one season, and reminding people that that's been discussed. So I like the idea of getting a temp checkout pretty quickly that just kind of that's basically just adds, hey, these are you know an NFT way to get your Discord access. Give folks a head up that it's a voluntary thing for season 8. And then we'll also have that'll give us time to do the testnet versions and you know and have both
Yep.
both passes and guest passes and all that like set up, right? It's like boom, we're not deprecating anything, we're just adding these based on previous discussions over the last like 4 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, really.
Right.
If you don't know, if you haven't heard about this yet, please crawl from under the rock. Um, yeah, I think too. What we can do is I can get Perchy to create an NFT, and if you do a season pass for season 8, you'll get it. So we can have like a little. I can have him do like a one-time, like just like a fun, you did.
Beta
You were part of this. Yeah, that's right. You were an initial, and we'll allow like, I don't know, 300 mints or something like that. 200 mints. Generate some scarcity, so people can kind of like race to get in, because basically we'll be saying buy a season pass and get an NFT.
Yeah. And then we'll report to you like how much revenue that brought, how much bank that brought back to the Treasury.
Right? Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. You're helping.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So voluntary for season 8, mandatory for season 9. Lots of awareness. Allow for testing. Perchy NFT upon purchase of a season pass.
Okay, so trying to get this very clear. So when I try to explain this to somebody, it's very clear. So this seasonal pass is replacing the L1, and it's meant to be purchased for a particular season, right?
Yeah, so let me show you. So long and short is the system here. You can either, we need to make the token economy for bank circular. Right now it's linear, and that's why the price only goes down. It's the vault issues it, people hold it, and they sell it. And so what the season pass does is it says like, hey, we've got, by being part of BanklessDAO, you get the opportunity to work with crazy people, do whatever, be a part of the DAO, and the DAO has some dues. So it's so there's some requirements to being at the DAO, which is that you either buy a season pass, which is a 20K bank, or you lock up bank for 6 months or a year. And either one will grant you access. But yeah, that's the initial. Is that clear? What's up, Nanner? Welcome back, man.
Okay, doke, friend. So, from what I understand, from what you just explained with the diagram, the seasonal pass is more like a gas pass, but with the price. And then if you have been holding bank prior to the initiation of seasonal pass, there's an option to either lock the amount of bank you're holding for 6 months or a year.
That's right.
Right? Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, and so and the other thing is that the guest pass, like right now, guest passes are going away. No, that's not true. Guest passes are becoming limited based on wallet account. So instead of guest passes being like you can just infinitely renew it, you're gonna get 2 renewals, which will be 3 guest passes, and then based on your wallet, no more.
Well, we should have a quick little discussion on that because the seasons will be 4 months long now.
Oh my god.
So in the temp check, I think the general idea is though that the guest pass lasts a whole season, which would be 4 months. You know, if we did a 1 month guest pass, then renewed 4 times. You know, does that make sense? Or, you know, do folks really like the 2 week guest pass thing renewal?
Yeah, I
That would be
think
8.
right. I think we need to kick off another temp check on guest passes because the context has changed.
Well, that's what this. I think this what this temp check should do. As I can, if you got all the previous text on the documents for the season pass resolved, then we can throw up a temp check. Remind folks link back to the previous discussions on guest pass. Link back to BDIP 7. This is the new season timeline. You know, do folks want 2 week guest passes or 1 month guest passes? Do they want it the whole season, half season? You know, do a couple polls, and then that will update the conversation as well. And then,
Yep. I think, boy, I think it personally. I like everything nice and neat in its own little box. So 2 forum posts or 2 temp checks on the guest pass and season pass. But it might be worth just for expediency, doing 1. Because I hear you like reference.
Sorry, Ice.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm still hearing guest pass, and then I'm hearing seasonal pass.
Yeah, these are 2 mechanisms. There's a total of 3 mechanisms: guest pass, season pass, and TL bank.
Okay.
So guest pass is that like we want the DAO to be an open, welcome place, and so if you join, you can come and hang out and start working and get involved, and you should be able to earn your way up to a season pass. And so you know, I think we're kind of talking about the design decisions or the specifications for the guest pass right now because the seasons have changed.
Yeah, cool. Well, have we been able to ascertain what the timeline would be? I'm saying that as a conduit, and said that the new from season 8 or 9, I guess, each season will now be 4 months long as opposed to 3 months. So let's say if you come in, you have a guest pass, you can only, if you are still doing the 2 weeks, can only renew like 3 times maximum, or I don't know. Yeah. Or 4 times. 4 times would be like for extra 2 months. So
I think that the more important thing is that we're limiting guest passes because right now it's like you can extend it for eternity, and you like just keep renewing your guest pass, and we're turning it into unlimited. Like there's going to be some scarcity to it.
Or save up money and either do TL bank or buy a seasonal pass.
Right. And that's actually it. It's like your guest pass enables you up to, like, after you get a season or a guest pass for a period of time, you should be purchasing a season pass or TL bank, or maybe you decide VDAO is not for you, but you get to decide. Like, Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
What stops anybody from, I don't know, creating a new wallet and get a new gas pass? So eventually you will have unlimited gas pass.
Stern gaze. Stern, you go, don't do that.
Yeah.
I think at some point we'll likely integrate these things can be gamed. And this is a problem that Vitalik and others are working on across the board. If Collabland integrates with Gitcoin Passport, that solves that problem. But the reality is at present, there's proof of humanity is a tough challenge to solve, and that's the space we're in. So I think, what stops people from gaming it? Nothing. But honestly, it's...
So we can gate both the purchase of the pass and the guest pass to Gitcoin Passport. Like you just wouldn't be able to get the pass without using the passport widget.
And that might be the path forward on this, actually. I think the thing is that at outset, there's going to be holes, and that's okay. Like if somebody's so committed that they want to be here, that they spend all this time figuring this thing out, fine. Like good for. I'm glad you're here. And they're working to game the system super specifically. Okay, if somebody's really dedicated, yeah, they're going to figure out something. But over time, we're going to iron those things out. And I think just the acknowledgement that the point here isn't to it's not a punishment mechanism. This is just like dues for being a part of the DAO. And so it's really important that it's not about negative. It's about the positive. Like, hey, you got a Disney pass, and now you're part of the DAO, and there's positive things that come as a part of that. TL Bank being the highest degree, and ideally, we're probably going to change. Like Bankless HQ is probably going to integrate with TL Bank pretty hard. They were integrating with 35K Bank, but the problem is that people are buying and they're selling. They're buying and they're selling, and so with the Bankless HQ airdrops, people come and go in and out, and so TL Bank creates just like a more fun mechanism there. Not to mention, the season passes, and especially we can start generating NFTs seasonally, and just we can have a lot of fun with some of the different mechanisms here, and that's more the point is like positive, like a carrot and a light stick. Big carrot though, positive oriented.
We could always leave the welcome section of our Discord open to anybody that has or has ever had a guest pass.
Yeah, right.
Right. So that's the other kind of recommendation I would make, is that section of just, people getting onboarded, people being not sure, wanting to still be part of the community, can do so in the welcome section of our Discord and still have access to the community call section. Right. So it's just everything other than that is essentially work channels or some type of benefit to the member that's contributing to the DAO.
And I think the most important bit here is just that it allows us these options.
Yep.
It's like it allows us to play with every bit of this and to decide as a community and what's working, what's not. And I think that Bank Utility is basically going to be focused on how's it working. Like we're going to immediately pivot into just continual review and examination of TL Bank. Like what is the market doing with it? What's it not? Are the things working? So let me just take some quick notes because I've been talking a lot. And I think there's questions about guest pass. Whoop. I think the season pass. We're actually really close on the season pass for a temp check. I was reviewing some of the changes earlier. I'm gonna actually finish this up in a few hours, and then I'm gonna post it. And I'd love your review on it, Ernest. And then I think Patrick with Unlock wants to be involved implementation, and so I'm gonna loop you and him in together into a conversation, and I we'll start working on the season pass.
Yeah, I already got my Discord gated by my Unlock protocol Flocker NFT. So
Super cool.
I really like the Unlock, and I think the renewal part is going to be managed through Unlock, and so it'll just be collab. Like, do you have this Unlock NFT? Yes, no, kind of thing. I don't think
Yep.
I think the renewable part of it, is all on the Unlock end. So.
Great. Yeah, because like they've got like a smart contract factories that mint smart contracts, and so I think that it should be low overhead, but yeah.
Yeah, and then too, since actually people will be able to get the guest pass with just using probably an Unlock email too. So this actually opens up onboarding opportunities in the long run, especially when there's like IRL events like ETH conferences and stuff. Like,
That's
you don't
great,
want,
actually.
yeah.
BanklessDAO parties. Did you get your season 6? You have to have an active season pass to get access or something. Fun. Yeah, go ahead.
What if the first season pass was a birthday pass? And it was just like, you buy the birthday pass and you got a year.
I think we can go crazy right here. So, like we can have a lot of fun with lots of different options, and so I think that we should let's nail season pass. Let's nail TL Bank. Real quick to circle back, because I think we can get into a lot of different questions. Sprinkles, is there so I see we've got design. You're working on meeting writers. I think you need an update from Tomahawk.
Yeah, I spoke to Hero about the article that we're going to put in the roll up. Looks like that's going to drop next week. Possibly the week after that. So kind of just depends on me a little bit. So I'm going to write the draft. Just kind of parameters around that. We want it to focus specifically on TL Bank and not the mechanisms of season pass, or do we want to allude to them, kind of talk about what the potential future uses of TL Bank might be, or is it just going to be kind of straightforward? This is what we're rolling out kind of announcement. I think it's nice to be able to put some context around it and talk about the capabilities that are opened up. But of course, we don't want to make that the focus of the article or get too much in the weeds about what the specifics are going to be, right? So, focusing on the core primitive capabilities, and then kind of the sky's the limit. Nice flowery language in the conclusion. That's just what I'm thinking right now. If you guys have other talking points you want to feed in, or if you want to look at the draft before it goes out, let me know. We'll definitely arrange some feedback around it.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the above, but ultimately I'd defer to you. Like, what do you think should be in it?
Yeah, TBD. I'm kind of thinking through it. But I think I will probably drop it in the channel as a draft to let people make comments prior to dropping it in the roll up.
I think that sounds great. You know, I think that a way like helping people kind of frame it, because tokenomics can be complicated enough, and so like, you know, I could even see a DeFi download, you know, article on TL Bank Season Pass and just something. But either way, I think things that like help people start to kind of like digest, you know, the changes. And so, you know, if you think that's best as just TL Bank or like a larger context, you know, whatever you think's best.
So Tomahawk, I'm wondering if you would put, you know, if you put a rough draft in either the Notion page or one of the threads, the TL Bank and writing thread. That way I can, you know, get some short content going also at the same time.
Yeah. Probably early next week.
Okay.
I'll be able to drop something in.
Thank you.
Cool.
If you guys have hedging materials, I'd also like to, you know, plug them and, you know, talk about their capabilities as well as a part of this. Since they're a partner and we want to kind of showcase what people can do with Hedgie as well.
Sure. So it is in the Notion. I think you have access to the everything in the Notion page, and that would be under education.
Okay.
And there's some other Hedgie stuff I have under the smart contracts, I believe, but I can make a section for that.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we want to get too heavy into technicals, but yeah, their marketing materials I can definitely grab some text and some descriptions from that will help like keep them on brand, you know, even though we're talking about them. Yeah, I'll take a look at the Notion and see what we got there, and if I have any other questions, I'll come back to you, Sprinkles.
Okay, thanks. And I'll put together a section just all on Hedgie finance, so that way you can just pick what you want from there.
Cool.
I love it. It's perfect. Okay, cool. And then Israel's going to be working on design, so soon. Devs, we spoke with Hedgie and brought them into conversation with Clubland. Mantis, we've got likely a few things. You may, I think, we probably just need to give him the high level and then like allow him to delegate that out, because he may create his own bounties for that for the website team, because I know there's a number of devs kind of circling around that project. Or orbiting. So but it may be worth us just having like a short touch base with him at some point, you know, if he needs to help facilitate him kind of it being on his radar, because he's got a lot. Governance, BDIP process going for the medium. We got to get and then we have rough approval from the temp check, so we're go for launch. We just got to get the BDIP of recognizing TL Bank in the season pass. Yeah.
You know, I don't know that we have a huge, but we need more input, more votes.
Yeah. I mean, so in terms of the temp check, we don't have any quorum requirements. It's just like people are like, it's good. It's like, I actually think we've got 57 votes on it.
Yeah, last time I checked, that a few days ago, 57 votes.
Yeah, we're at 60. Yeah, this is great. Like, yay for TL Bank.
Yep. And then two, the formal proposal for the format change is posted. And so that should get a little attention through the roll up and stuff, and on the community call this week. But that formal proposal's up.
Great. Well, and that's just to change the formatting of the Constitution. There's no actual changes to the Constitution in the formatting.
Correct.
Right.
There's some
Right.
sections that are added based on what's known about, proposals and conversations that are in development that just make sense, like
Right.
BanklessDAO multisig fault, like it's
Yeah, sure.
there's some ambiguity about how some things are referenced, and we know people are describing what departments are and stuff, so there's some added sections, but no change in the content.
Yeah, great. Okay.
If anything, it kind of helps point out some of the ambiguities, but I think as a group we've gotten through Article 3. So there's definitely some cool edits, some good edits coming that just clarify the current state.
Great. And I think that's a good, just awareness raise on that one. I think that okay.
So I'm curious why we don't put these all together into one big campaign.
Because there are different types of changes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
it seems like, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sprinkles.
Is TL Bank the most important one then?
Yeah, so there's basically like a number of questions that may have discussions and debate about each stage of this thing. What I would prefer is if we just had one BDIP that was like, yo, let us put all this shit in. What may happen will likely happen, maybe not, but so we're gonna have people are generally recognizing TL Bank. Then there's also season passes, and people may have discussion and debate about just that. And we're gonna have a BDIP with those recognizing in the Constitution those two things. And then there's gonna be we're gonna need to talk about removing 35K bank as an access method to the DAO, and people may have opinions about that. There may be like some pushback, and so we need to create a space in the forum where people can raise their hand and say that. If we put it all together, we run the risk of what happens a lot of in these forum posts is multiple conversations happening in one post, and it becomes a freaking mess. Like one reply is talking about one thing, the next reply is talking about something else, and so to allow a conversation around the change at hand, we'll need to do 2 BDIPs. And I think because the high level is one, recognizing 2 new primitives, and then 2, removing access levels.
And from the governance work stream perspective, there is information that needs to be reflected in the Constitution before organizational departments go to budgeting, which, budgets should be posted in the forums in like a week or so, before April 1st. So there's some adding clarity around information that people need for budgeting, and then that's probably then following that is like wrapping up the clarity of the state of the DAO and the Constitution. And this kind of all ties right in line with like a 2-year birthday anniversary, hey, we're Web3 memberships now kind of thing. And no super major changes to the Constitution. but it should be up to date. It's currently a season and a half out of date.
Yeah, right.
So that's kind of the main thing is like how to get it all caught up by the end of the season, so that there's a clear message understanding Constitution, birthday, Web3 memberships.
That makes sense, Sprinkles. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a timeline in the governance work stream, that kind of lays that down. There's a work stream that's reviewing, section by section, the whole Constitution, to be able to provide that update.
That makes sense, Sprinkles.
It does, and what I really pulled from there is that you need the grants committee to do their end before the proposals can be up, right?
I
think so. Yeah, there's a few conversation points here. Like I think so. Like and ideally, I think I'd like to keep it focused on the TL Bank season pass, but I think Ernest did reference that there are larger movements, like mechanistic movements at play, which is that, like we've got new seasons happening, we've got governance processes happening, like the Constitution is being updated and is out of date, and so there's a lot of like little cogs all moving independently in this big watch of the DAO.
You do bring up another point that there's the grants committee work stream also. So hopefully the clarity around grants committee's description in the Constitution, most of that clarity now essentially have just confirmed like the final part of the process that isn't reflected well in the Constitution. But it would be nice if grants committee had clarity around, because they're getting ready to start picking up their work stream as proposals and stuff come in, and if people have to have their proposals in before April 1st, that's just like a timeline thing.
Yeah, lots of things. I think we're getting a little bit outside of TL Bank, but any last things on that one, or the tokenomics stuff? But any last things on that one, Sprinkles?
No, I can ask them outside of this group.
Great. Perfect. I think that the only other thing was Bear, you asked NFTs not locked up by OP will not have L1 access? Oh, the original locker. So what do we do if someone like Consensus wants to get 10 members in? I think Consensus can just buy 200,000 bank and then distribute that like 20K to each person, and they can lock up. Oh, or buy season passes.
Yeah, that's even better.
Like, if people just buy season passes, that's great. If people lock up bank, that's great too. The bar right now is low. 40K bank for 6 months or 80K bank for a year.
And there is another concern too. If hedges do not automatically unlock these tokens, right? And the NFTs will not be burned.
Yeah, well, so the NFTs are burned. And 2, Hedgie is working on an automated relock mechanism. And so this actually came up while we were talking about it, was that upon as soon as it becomes available to unlock, that we will need people to either relock or pull their funds. And so we'll probably have like a little timeout period, or we'll figure something out, like a new role that Collabland has or something, where it's like you're in, TL bank timeout, or TL timeout or something like that, where it's like just like a reminder, like go relock up or something. But Hedgie was, we have a lot of capabilities. Like they're building something very specific to like automated relockups, where it's like you can relock and it like levels up your lockup. And so they're already building infrastructure for us to have like an NFT that levels up in some way, or the use case that Nan or you highlighted so long ago. So we've got infrastructure already being put in place, and on top of that, the last final thing is that they're building delegation function into the NFT. So if we want to use it, we can, but we don't have to. So we're prepped for future governance desires and needs. I love good tech. I love it when things are on top of things.
Does it make sense? Like how can projects how can we utilize TL Bank through projects? What's the best way that you think, or for them to buy some now, or when it first comes out, or as needed, or would there be a project that could do that? What do you think?
I think that there's a few personas, and so this is like kind of like the layers of use of this product, like these smart contracts and this primitive. And so like the one layer is the individual, like one persona is the individual, like the individual contributor. Another layer is the grants committee, actually. And then the next layer is like organizational units, like projects, guilds, and departments. And so at the project level, I think that like we don't want value accrual of access going to projects. We want it going to individual users. But I think it creates great, like quick and easy opportunities for grants committee. Like we could probably generate a grants committee little UI where you guys have like a sliding scale of, you can like choose your lockup and who gets it. And so projects can use TL Bank and transfer it around. So like projects could use it in some ways the same as grants committee, which is like, hey, you're a contributor, do these tasks, and TL Bank will unlock in a week. Complete this task or whatnot, and stick around for it, and then the TL Bank will unlock. So, and I think that's how, like, it just enables degrees of alignment around projects. The DAO grants committee says, hey, here's half your funding liquid, here's half your funding in TL Bank, and it unlocks in 6 months. Projects can do the same. Cool, huh? I think that's really cool.
It is. Unlock does that, right?
Yep.
Already?
TL Bank does that. Unlock. You're talking about. You reference Unlock protocol.
So I'm referencing Unlock protocol.
Okay. Yeah. So season passes are just passes at like the DAO level.
Mm-hmm.
TL Bank is going to be like kind of a Swiss Army knife of lockup and involvement, and so so like season pass is really just going to be, hey, you want access to the DAO, buy the season pass, and you got a season pass, and so now you've got L1 access to the DAO, and you can hang out, and you get a seasonal NFT. TL Bank though is like where you can kind of like you're able to create vesting schedules in the same way, like people have to hang on to this thing for a season, and then it unlocks and they get all their funding out or something like that.
Okay, and that can be implemented in the future. That Hedgie just doesn't have it right now.
Oh, as soon as Hedgie implements this, we'll be able to do that.
Okay.
Like, so as soon as Hedgie rolls this out, we're kosher to start doing that. Okay. It'll be complicated to do it initially because you'll have to interact directly with the smart contracts, but you can but we can ask Mantis to have like, gc.bankless.community or whatever, and secret menu.bankless.community, and from there you can have like, how much do you want to lock up, and you just type in the amount and have a little slider for time, 6 weeks, 1 year, 2 million years, and then just like lock it up, and 2, auto send it to the person.
Does Hedgie have any ENS integrations?
ENS integration, you mean just like sending to the ENS name?
I mean, I would assume they would just have that, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't know. Anything with subdomains.
You would need to set up a subdomain outside of, like, Hedgie's focused on locking the token and sending and getting you the token with the appropriate metadata. ENS integration, though, that's kind of a, or not integration, but like creating subdomains or generating ENS. That's separate from Hedgie, but they can send ENS names.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to take some notes on this. I think the next steps for me are, here, let me add the notes here too for,
So I can do that, and I can fill it in. It's fine.
okay, cool.
I would have taken notes throughout the whole thing. I just didn't want to, be typing over you.
Yeah, no, perfect. All right, thanks, Sprinkles. Appreciate it. Okay, cool. Well, great. I think we're at the top of the hour. Any last real quick questions or thoughts or ideas?
Claim Arbitrum.
Claim Arbitrum. Yeah, that's right. Go claim. There's an absolute insane amount of froth going on around it.
Then what do we do with it?
Delegate it to DAO stewards.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to delegate it, right?
Yeah.
It's not. There's
Would asking the DAO diplomats to help, get some.
It's DAO stewards. That.
Yes.
diplomats are just people that are knowledgeable about another DAO in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So they're expected to be working in their DAO. So if they're infrequent participation in BanklessDAO, that's okay, right? We're looking to keep that contact, that relationship.
Right. But even if they're infrequent, shouldn't we be getting like educational material on TL Bank and everything going on out through them also?
Yeah, I mean, I would say anybody that,
just so they can, I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, so diplomats or DAO stewards they're kind of focused on, they're a governance group growing at BanklessDAO that's kind of like representing BanklessDAO elsewhere. I don't know how much other people care about TL Bank.
Okay.
They might, I think that what happened, they'll care about it, like if they're like, hey, we want to do an airdrop to BanklessDAO, which happens.
Well, the question is, so the
the
diplomat's role tag actually circumnavigates the guest pack role tag to some degree. So it's likely that maybe a good move for the Relationships Guild would be having just more public channels. And so the question is, like, do you want diplomats? You don't want to get them elevated permissions, but you want to be able to at least have some kind of channel or category somewhere in the Discord where they can.
Yeah, so maybe my question was wrong, and maybe it was at the wrong time also. I maybe shouldn't have asked it. It just reminded me when Barrett had said DAO stewards. I know that they're separate. I meant, so like Jairus James does a lot with marketing and gets stuff out, like would it make sense to have those people get out information about like the season pass and
Yeah,
TL Bank or no?
Is anybody else going to the marketing guild department meeting? Sorry, in an hour.
I can't go at that time, but I can. I mean, Tundi is supposed to be the representative, but I can drop a list of things in their channel with the marketing campaign from our end.
Yeah, if you want to drop that in there, I'll attend the meeting and
Okay.
try and make sure it gets on the agenda and that people are aware.
Okay, that's all I want to make sure is that we get enough, marketing attention around it. That's all.
Yeah, and
yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Yep.
Okay, that's a wrap, everybody. Thank you all for your time. Cool meeting. We're jamming on TL Bank. We're moving into season pass. Tokenomics draw. Bankless